Okay. Anyway, journalist Victoria Brittain is a co-author of Mozenberg's book Enemy Combatant, and most recently author of the play Waiting, using the words and the voices of men in Guantanamo or under control orders in Britain. She is a former associate foreign editor of The Guardian. She's a great friend. She's a great campaigner, and she's an inspiration to all of us, actually. Thank you, Victoria. Shall I lower this a little bit? I haven't framed it very well. Whoops, in the shot.
Thank you, Abdul Jalil. Good evening, everybody. I have to say I'm very sad that we're here again for the same reason as we've been here before for AFIA. And I wish I could say, like Professor Bowring, that I have 600 powerful journalists behind me, but I don't. As some of you know, I am a journalist, and in the case of AFIA, I've been following it carefully for a long time, and I've only recently written about it. And the reason I waited was because I thought it was a case that's so bewildering to people that it was important to really do my own research. And I've spoken to all the American lawyers who have represented her and failed so dismally, and to a lot of other people, both in Pakistan and here, so that I feel that I now speak about a case which is not confusing. It is, as Bill said, a case which is completely outrageous. And I think we have to look at it in three aspects. The first aspect was the initial kidnapping of AFIA. And we now know, thanks to a secret recording of the man who was in charge of her arrest, who is a Pakistani official, who has himself said that he was in charge of her arrest. We now know that all those years where the Pakistanis and the Americans said they didn't know where she was, and actually she was with Al-Qaeda, we know that they were lying. So that's item one, was the kidnapping of her and the 3 children. The second aspect is her extremely mysterious reappearance in Afghanistan in an incident inside a police station where she allegedly shot at 2 FBI agents and 2 American soldiers. And the forensic evidence that was later used in her trial shows that what didn't happen in that police station was her picking up a gun and shooting it. I think this hasn't come out at all in the reporting that's been done on this, but it's important for us to know when we're campaigning that the forensic evidence showed there was no fingerprint, no DNA of AFIA's on the gun, and there was no bullet hole in the wall that came from the gun she was alleged to have used. And as you know, nobody was injured except for her, who was shot twice in the stomach. So that's the second aspect of the outrageous thing that's happened to AFIA. The third, as the professor just said, was her trial in New York. And I must have spoken to a dozen lawyers about this trial, because I couldn't understand how it could be that in a trial in which there was no forensic evidence against you, you could possibly, first of all, be found guilty by the jury, and then be sentenced by the judge to an unprecedented 86 years. So I think it's helpful to think about AFIA's case with these 3 planks, if you like, of concrete things that actually happened. And when we come to campaign about her, I think we need to bear in mind that 2 powerful governments, the United States government and the Pakistani government, lied about her consistently. And over those 5 years when she had disappeared, as you know, they put out all these different stories about her running blood diamonds from Liberia. Well, I happen to have worked in Liberia. I know a lot about the detail of that. And I'm not the only one to say that the story was complete and utter rubbish. But it did the thing that it was intended to do. It smeared her. The second was about her alleged second marriage to a very significant figure in Al-Qaeda. This has been denied by her family and by many people who knew both her and him in Pakistan. But these two details, along with many other things that have been said about her, I think have served to smear her in such a way that people have an image of her, which is what allowed, when she came finally to court in America, which allowed a jury of 12 presumably intelligent people to go completely against the evidence and take the evidence of the soldiers who spoke against her. The only witnesses were the soldiers against her, and they contradicted each other in the court, and they contradicted the statements that they had made earlier. Now, we've had many miscarriages of justice that you all know, famous ones in this country, but in the end, they all get overturned. And I do not believe that there could be any court in Britain that could have found her guilty on the non-evidence that happened. So those are all factual things that I wanted to put on the table to you, because you're all mothers and sisters. I know exactly what you feel about Afia, and I feel it myself. Anybody who has children, the idea of being separated as she was from her 3 children, in the circumstances in which she was separated, it's beyond heartbreak. And I'm not going to go into that because I know that we all know that we feel the same about that. But alongside the emotion that we feel, I think it's very important to have the knowledge of the concrete things that I've just tried to tell you, and then to think about what can we do to keep up this campaign. And I want to pay tribute to Sister Mariam for her organizing. And I think she is the most incredible sister for Afia to have. And I think that if any of us can try to emulate a bit the energy and the organization of Mariam on this front, that would be great. And this goes for you as well. But I think we have to realize we have, sadly, a small audience here today, but there is a huge audience in the internet. And I think that all of us must try to find ways to write more about Afia, to tell more people about it, either physically face-to-face in your different organizations or on the internet. All of you can write poems to Afia, letters to Afia, actual letters to her which may get to her in Carswell or may not, but letters which can tell other people about what you feel and about what's happened to her. So I urge you all to do that. Now, I know that the other speakers come from the faith communities and the leaders of different mosques and different Islamic centers. And this is the center of what will be the campaign in Britain for Afia. And I think it's wonderful that such people are coming and that such people are constantly on Islam Channel and others trying to talk about this issue. So anybody who has a chance to speak about this issue, I urge you to take that chance and speak. Thank you very much.